Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get right to it. First up on the list, the little Chevrolet EV Spark gets official pricing numbers on this particular vehicle. General Motors released the pricing on this car, and it will sell for $27,495. Now, you can also get a low mileage lease on this vehicle for $199 a month with some money down, obviously, which puts it right on par with the Fiat 500e, also with the Nissan Leaf. But let's get back to that $27,495. This is the least expensive all-electric vehicle that's on sale in the U.S. today. So if the little electric Spark EV is your style, you better get down to your General Motors dealership. And back to that price at least one more time. We're not even talking about through tax subsidies and government rebates on this vehicle yet. So you may be able to get a little bit better deal, even more. Next up on the list, Tesla was in the news a couple of times. One good, maybe one not so good time. First off, with their actual profits that they're starting to show off, their stock prices went through the roof. And Tesla brought in $1 billion in cash. So what'd they do with that money? Well, they did one of the things that was probably the smartest thing they ever could have done. Got the U.S. government off your back. How about they owed them $452 million, which they paid in with interest ahead of schedule, way ahead of schedule actually, which is a fantastic idea, a fantastic situation for Tesla to do. Now, some part where they did something they probably shouldn't have. They went to the interwebs to brag about it, saying that they were the first ever U.S. auto manufacturer to pay off their government loans in full, which isn't true. Folks over at Autoline.tv saw a little bit of this as there was a little bit of jab back and forth as the Chrysler Corporation came, said, hey, we paid off our government loans over 2 years ago. So I guess there really weren't. Well, they were maybe the first all-electric automobile manufacturer to pay off their loans. But an interesting story nonetheless. Tesla actually, this was a great deal for them to get in and get the government off their hind end. It's probably the best thing they ever could have done. So start moving forward apart from the government. Next up on the list, this is a picture of Bob Lutz. Bob Lutz is in the news as actually a group that he actually is in on, VL Automotive. Now, Bob Lutz was actually the head of General Motors and the head of Chrysler in the past. Very, very smart man. Now, this VL Automotive group has actually gone in and they started retrofitting these Fisker Karmas, putting a new nose section on it, new tail section on it, ripping out the electric drivetrain and putting in a General Motors drivetrain, big V8 in there. So, and a lot of people with their ex-Fiskers now are actually going to VL Automotive to have their vehicles switched over. And we talked about it in shows past. It is quite on the pricey side. Well, apparently VL Automotive actually went in and made a bid on Fisker before it went into bankruptcy court. Apparently there's a Chinese group that's actually hunting it down too. Now the VL Automotive group actually came in with a bid of $20 million, which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't when it comes to an automobile manufacturer. Now, I don't know for 100% who has the reins of Fisker as we speak and whether this deal can be done or whether they would rather it go to the Chinese group. No real word comes to this. No real word on whether the government will allow it to go on or just make it go into bankruptcy court before it can. A lot of the assets can be gobbled up. But we'll wait and see what comes of this deal in the future. Next up on the list, the SRT Viper. Now, if you love the Viper and you live in the European market, well, it's kind of sad. The SRT Viper won't be coming to the European market for a couple, 3 years now. But if you just can't wait and you don't mind driving a left-handed drive Viper, Geiger Cars has your answers. They're a tuner group that will be importing the SRT Viper into the European market. You will have to pay a little bit more than the standard price, but you got to have a Viper. You got to have a Viper. The pricing on this will be 139,900 euros for this particular automobile. That comes out about 180,500 US dollars, which is quite a bit more than the standard Viper, which is $97,395. But If you got to get your hands on a Viper, this is the perfect situation. Geiger Cars, a tuner group, is actually going to be importing these vehicles. You can get your hands on a Viper very, very soon. Next up on the list, I'm sorry, this is a really terrible picture of the MP4-12C. This is actually the 50 limited edition, as McLaren's going through its 50th anniversary of being a motor car company, not only that, a race car company. But this particular outfit is actually McLaren's Special Operations, the MSO group inside of McLaren that has actually reworked a whole bunch of these 12Cs to be sold as 50 limited edition. 50 stand there for their 50th anniversary. Also, standing for that they're only going to build 50 of the hardtops and 50 of the Spider versions. Now, what do you get for this? You get an optimized front bumper, whatever the hell that is. Also get a lot of carbon fiber parts on the outside. The interior gets the complete leather treatment, upgraded treatment, and also gets carbon fiber inlay parts as well. The vehicle only comes in 3 colors. You can get it in carbon black, or you can get it in supernova silver, or in McLaren orange, like this particular vehicle. Now, rumored pricing on this automobile, at least for the European market, for the 12C hardtop version, comes in at 196,000 pounds, or 296,000 US dollars. Now, the 12C Spider comes in at 215,000 pounds, or $325,000. But we don't have official pricing on when this deal is coming about. But only 50 of the Spiders, 50 of the hardtops for the world. It's going to be some rarefied air if you're a McLaren fan, as these vehicles will be rare. Chances of seeing one of these is going to be slim to none on the roads, unless you're one of the lucky owners. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motor Cars Enthusiasts. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. You can see all the goofy stuff we do over there. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they're out. And this is a show that happens right before Memorial Day. Here in the United States, they have a day to honor all the veterans, men and women, who have laid down the ultimate sacrifice, dying for the fight for freedom. And we want to thank all those people who have made that ultimate sacrifice, not to mention all the people who are left behind, all the friends and family of these soldiers who have paid a pretty significant sacrifice in the loss of their loved ones. And we thank you, from all of us here at Motor Cars Enthusiasts, for all those people. It's what Memorial Day is all about. And thank you again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.